time to do some sketchy shit. Doo-dah, doo-dah, hope I get away with it. Oh, the doo-dah day.
Oh, sorry about the advert, folks. Executive privilege. We talked so long on Stupid O'Clock, I did not get the opportunity to run down the hallway in between shows. So I needed a
Yeah.
couple of minutes to take care of business. How you doing tonight, Donna?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Um, Aside from the fact that I had to reveal to Lindsay what her uh, anniversary present was going to be I'm doing okay. Um,
Because you wanted it to be a surprise, or
I wanted it to be a
okay.
surprise, but part of it got delivered rather than me having to go pick it up at the store on Tuesday.
Mm-hmm. And it
So,
always gets delivered when she's right there, right?
yeah, she's right there. I'm off at the hardware store buying lumber for tomorrow's, trying to finish up, patching up the screened in porch because some of the wood that I bought when I originally built it was not treated lumber and it has not weathered the weather very well. So I was having to redo some of that. And Lindsay's anniversary gift is a brand new water heater, which means sometime this weekend I've got to pull the old one out and get it outside and put it someplace where I can throw it on the whatever you call a two-wheel cart that I pull behind the van to take large stuff to the dump, the trailer, and and then I've got to reinforce the floor in the water heater closet. And the part that was delivered today is a little stand because the new water heater is only about half the size of the old one. It's a 30-gallon tank rather than a 50-gallon tank. And I told her, this is the only thing I can buy that we do not have to pay an electrician to come out and run extra wires and swap breakers in the breaker box and things like that. I can just take the wires off that's there, put them on the new one. I can just run the pipes, no problem. I have learned how to do plumbing essentials in the last 30 years that I've owned this house. But Sunday, the 14th, will be mine and Lindsay's 18th wedding anniversary. And she is absolutely overjoyed. She has now been married to me longer than she's ever been married to anybody in her life. And apparently, I'm the first one that hasn't screwed her over somehow.
Well, when we had our honeymoon 3 weeks before the wedding, we went down to Florida to stay with my parents in their little single wide trailer. I told Carl, if you could live with my father in this little trailer for a week, you can live forever with me. And so far, it's worked out.
And y'all are working on what, 30 years? 35?
37.
37. Oh, Mike, Jimmy,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. Um, I think what it is I'm an honorable man. I'm not necessarily good.
Oh, you're
I'm just,
good.
you promised not to kiss and tell.
I didn't tell. I just said you were good. Maybe I meant you were a good man. What the hell is going on out there?
Um, the cats called the cops on Carl because he didn't go to bed as soon as they nagged him.
Actually, he got out there, and it was because the food bowl was almost empty.
Oh,
You know how
there
cats
was
are.
there's a teeny tiny spot in the middle you can actually see the bottom of the bowl.
Yes, so it's empty.
Yeah, really. Even though there's 5 pounds of food mounded up around that. Uh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Happy anniversary. Thank you, Mike Jimmy. Thank you, Thesis. Oh wow, that's impressive.
Yes.
Been together more than half of her life. Hey, as long as she's happy. you will be a very happy man. Because, as the old saying goes, if mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
That's
Uh,
true. I just saw the
yes.
weirdest thing out my window. Two little green lights down close to the sidewalk. Like, what the hell? Okay, they're followed by. Then somebody with a flashlight is following them. They get down to the street lamp, and my neighbor walking their two dogs, and their dog collars have little green flashy lights on them, so they could see them evidently see them in the dark.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
Isn't
That's a
it?
good
Yeah.
idea. There's a couple on a canal boat over in England.
Mhm.
They actually have a pet camera that they can hang on their cat's collar. So when they moor up for the night or however long they're going to stay in a certain uh, location, they can let the cat off of the boat, and the cat will go on badger patrol or whatever the cat thinks it's doing, and it get a little camera that they can actually put
Mhm.
footage from into their videos. So here's the kitty cam. Um,
Yeah, I've seen that done before.
oh yeah. Um, it's really weird when the cat jumps up on a park bench because you get this illusion of flying, and then the cat lands. Uh, oh, okay.
Well, I
Got to
hope
prep for
you.
work and not feeling it, or fell asleep past 10 p.m. and woke up several times during the night, and it's 5 a.m. there now. Welcome to the joys of fatherhood. Believe it or not, there will be a time in your life when you will look back on this with fondness. And that'll probably be about the time she brings some guy in and say, "This is my date for prom, Daddy. Can I borrow the keys to the car?" And you won't like the guy at all. They do that on purpose. They find some guy that Daddy won't like just to push the boundaries a little bit further. Uh,
That's
you can
very
tell
true.
I've raised several generations of teenagers, can't you? Um,
Exactly, Mike Jimmy.
Fondness or nostalgia? Uh, yeah. Um, roll for initiative.
Or worse,
Uh,
you don't like him, and Luce points out, why don't you like him? He's just like you.
that's why. I know exactly what he's after. Can't trust those boys. Uh,
Actually, I had more trouble with my older brothers who were already married and out of the house by the time I started dating than I ever had with my father. In fact, I never dated with my parents.
Mike Jimmy agrees with you. Uh, also, poor dude, if she's anything like me, hey, um, look at your wife, look at yourself. It's going to be a pretty much even divide.
Although you're going to go through the rest of your life with her saying you're just like your dad and you saying you're just like your mom.
Uh huh.
Hmm.
And thesis, you better have a saving throw handy. Uh, that's not helping. Yeah, it is. Oh, Mike Jimmy, you will like this.
Uh-oh.
One of my wife's cousins left school after graduating and was hired by, uh, I think it was the Dutch royal family to be the nanny for their heirs,
Cool.
and there are photographs in the family albums of this lady with the kids in Holland, and here and Lindsay's going, yeah, my mom just hung out with movie stars and TV stars and stuff. This cousin gets to hang out with royalty. Uh, hey, the more you know. Um,
So if you see pictures of this lady with the children, you'll know that
that's Lindsay's cousin.
yeah.
Yeah, I wish I could remember the girl's name, but
Well, they're just going to say the nanny anyway when they talk about her.
yeah. Um, well, I mean, it wasn't too long before that Lindsay asked me a question I do not know how to answer, um, which was, how did you prep those hamburgers you cooked last week? I'll never be able to make anything that tastes that good. And I'm going, you watched me do it. I didn't write it down. Oh, yeah. Well, uh, royalty everywhere is getting to be pretty
Symbolic.
much
Yeah.
symbolic. And actually, I'm uh, from a country that's never had a royal family besides the Kennedys. Um, Symbolic is a good way to keep them. Um, that
Yeah.
the I'm a firm believer in the less power that a government has, no matter what form of government it is, the better that form of government is. Um, if we could just knock ours down a few notches to where they're about as important as a Girl Scout cookie bake sale, um, that'd be great. We'd be in a hell of a lot less trouble around the world.
Fall of Rome is coming.
Hmm I think it's already happened. We just haven't had the barbarian invasion from within yet, but
That's coming.
yeah, it is. Oh, and that's about as political as I'm going to get, folks. Sorry. Um, I'm somewhere in between anarchy and libertarian. Um,
Yeah.
if there was such a thing as representative anarchy, I'd probably be all over it. Uh, leave me alone and keep the roads running. But the important part is leave me alone.
Yeah. Around here, it's stop spending that money on flowers down the middle of the frickin' road and fix the roads.
Yeah, really. You don't have to plant flowers down the middle of the road. The birds will do that for you.
Well, the silliest part of it is, one of the roads they put it on was in front of the hospital, in front of the ER.
Where
Now
you
you,
can't
now
now you
you
can't
can,
see how to get in or out of the ER.
now you can only approach from the north to get into the ER. And if
Uh,
you don't know that, you're screwed. Of course, you're
they
screwed anyway if you go to that ER.
they've done that around here on any divided 4-lane road. Instead of keeping everything mowed in between, they'll just plant wildflowers.
Hmm.
Back when I was a kid, they had light posts, and it was all lit up, and you had to remember to check whether or not you had your headlights on because you could see your dashboard because the lights were that bright. What
Mm-hmm.
happened was there were so many drunk drivers taking out lampposts, they all got removed after about 20 years. Uh,
Well,
bes-
here,
Aside from the ones that got removed by the drunk drivers, I mean, the county took the rest of them out.
here they had to widen the streets where they put these about 2 foot wide, so they could put this strip down the middle. Pretty, really pretty, fancy wrought iron fence down it that you can't see anymore because they planted prairie flowers, Illinois prairie flowers on it, which means you can't mow them. And so now they're all grown up and they're taller than the wrought iron fence, which I'm sure cost a pretty penny, but you can't see it anymore.
No, but it looked good in the initial photographs.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, that's like we have a casino in town now. When they were proposing it, they had all these beautiful pictures of how this was going to look like a casino out in Vegas. And it was a pretty building. You know what we got now? Pole barn.
um, Somebody's pockets got lumpy from that one.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I'm hoping we can get Ricky out this time. Trying to get my brother-in-law to run.
Uh,
Yeah, that one.
that one? Um,
At least we know he won't be lining these pockets.
no, I'm not going to say that. I'm not going to say that. That would insult two people. Um,
Well, yeah, but you know he's going to be calling his brother all the time saying, "What should I do on this?" And so basically, we'll be running the town.
really. Have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again? Uh, what do you mean,
Well,
cup holder? Uh,
well, he's been a cop. Had been a cop for what 30 years in Danville. He knows everybody. Can't go anywhere. He's just bought a brand new house up on Mansion Road here, with just 2 blocks away from us. He's got the background, and I imagine there's a lot of people in here that would vote for him just because he's him.
mm, and he's probably got contacts too.
Oh yeah,
Might be able to get stuff done.
maybe.
Maybe.
At least stop spending money on stupid things like a
Really.
roundabout.
That people drive 20 miles out of their way to avoid. Um,
Well, they got smart and didn't put it where they said they were going to put it. They put it in a little off street north of the high school.
mm,
At first, they were going to put it on a road that's only one of 3 east-west roads. And they even bought up a couple of the houses and tore them down and got ready for it. And then they moved, and then they decided to put it down the street and then
I
in a
bet the
better
people that
place.
own those houses were a little miffed,
I don't know. I think they were pretty much compromised, especially compensated.
compensated.
Yes,
Okay.
compensated. Especially the one house that really needed to be torn down anyway. But no more than they bought, it would have been a stupid place to put this. It's a very small roundabout.
Oh, I know the syndrome. Yes.
And that road is a direct link between Route 1 and all the factories on the east side of town.
Yeah. So at quitting time, it gets busy, doesn't it?
No, I was thinking more of the semis that wouldn't have been able to go around it because it was too damn small.
Yeah, we have that problem with one they built here in the county seat, about 7 miles that away. Um, they, this is really weird. This is going to sound really weird, and it's going to make all of my neighbors, not immediate neighbors, but other residents of the county sound like idiots. But they had the courthouse with a roundabout about it for
Mm-hmm.
100 years or so.
Mm-hmm.
There's one intersection in the town, only intersection in the town that had a red light. Georgia DOT decides we're going to put a roundabout there, and they'd made this teeny tiny thing, and it's already getting torn up because every time an 18 wheeler has to go around it, some of the wheels wind up on the brick wall surrounding it and tears it down and makes a traffic
Mm-hmm.
hazard for cars and whatnot. It's too small. They would have to remove two extra buildings off on the west side of where they built the roundabout to make it sizable enough to where it actually would work.
Good. Yeah. Well,
People complained right and left about having to learn how to use a roundabout after already knowing for the last century how to use the one with a courthouse standing in the middle of it. It's just because this one's so much smaller
mm-hmm.
and they got used to that one red light. There's a town about 10, 12 miles away, had a red light, had a stop signal, let me say. Most of the time, they didn't have a budget to actually have a four-way stop signal. So, in the east-west direction, red was on the bottom, green was on the top. In the north-south direction, red was on the top, green was on the bottom. They only used 3 light bulbs in this stop signal.
It worked.
Yeah, it worked for decades, and people learn how to use it. It hasn't become a roundabout yet because there's 2 brand new gas stations, an antique store, and I do not remember what is in the fourth corner that they would have to demolish to make even a teeny tiny microscopic roundabout there.
Mm-hmm.
In which case, the 18 wheelers would still just jump it like it was a terrace on a
Yeah.
farm.
Well, that's this one. There's no walls or anything. There's just and it's not a high curve. So you know that if that had been on Voorhees, they wouldn't even have bothered trying to go around the roundabout. They'd have just driven right over that curve.
Oh yeah, yeah. Um, it has happened. I think when we were moving from Michigan to East Tennessee, the 2-car caravan, uh, Dad in the front and in a '56 Bel Air that he probably built in the factory where he worked. He probably went out there and go, yeah, I remember working on this one. I want this one. And used an employee discount from GM to get it. And a '62 Impala with my mom driving. Went through Oak Ridge, real close to the Bull Run steam plant. And there's this triangular concrete island in the middle of a three-way intersection. Dad successfully negotiates it. I'm in the Impala with Mom. And for some reason, she decided to go all Dukes of Hazzard on that concrete. It's like, woo! Boom. Oh, Lord. Dad would not let her live that down for decades. Didn't hurt the car. They
Oh
built him
no.
good in
Yeah.
those years. Probably had to have the front end realigned, but that was a matter of putting it on jacks and adjusting a couple of things underneath, and that's it.
My first car was a Delmont '88, Oldsmobile Desmont. And, I mean, a huge, huge car.
Yeah.
And was coming home one day, and like an idiot, it was snowing. Went to go around this guy on a blacktop, and ended up going sideways down the ditch. Took out about 5 wooden fence posts, because they were only about yay big. And then the car lifted up and landed 2 car space lengths into the field. And my dad was so mad because he just knew that I wouldn't be able ever to drive that car again. And my brother's like, no, hang on. One of the neighbors has one of those tractors with a bendable back. Yeah, he says, let me go get Rick's tractor, and we'll take it out of there gently. So I lifted it out of there and put it on the road. And my brother was a mechanic, and they looked that car all over. There wasn't even a scratch in the chrome from where it took out the fence post.
Of course not. That's Detroit steel right there. They don't make them like that anymore. They make them out of plastic.
Oh man, I'll miss that car. I was back when I could put $3 in it and drive for a week.
I remember those days. Oh well. Now I tell stories on myself. Dad was still driving that '56 Bel Air back and forth from where we lived just outside of Clinton, Tennessee, to Oak Ridge, where he was working. Pulled into a Magnolia gas station. The ones that's so cheap, they didn't even bother to bury the tanks for the gas station. They're just up on stands around, and they gave out S&H green stamps.
Mm-hmm.
He pulls in there, starts filling up the car, and then notices the price of gas has just jumped up from 12 cents a gallon to 13 cents a gallon. He starts fussing and raising hell about not being able to afford to drive to work anymore because the price of gas went up a penny. Oh, Daddy, if you could see what it is now.
Oh, yeah. That's how life goes.
The only way I can afford to keep all 3 of our cars in gas now is to buy a lot of groceries at Kroger and only fill them up at Kroger, where I get $1 a gallon discount for every $1,000 of groceries I buy every month.
Yeah.
I
Shoot,
went
at
to
Meyer, we get 10 cents a gallon off just for using the Meyer credit card.
we get
Not counting any of the other imperks
yeah,
you might
yeah.
use.
We get 3 cents a gallon for having the Kroger loyalty card, even if you don't have any fuel points.
Hmm.
And then it's 10 cents a gallon for every $100 worth of fuel points you get. And I went today, and I don't remember how much I spent. It was not much. I got a tomato, a salad, uh, some cat food, and I know there was something else, but I don't know what it was. Um, but that's the only things that gave me fuel points. It was like 35, $40. And that includes an 18 pack of beer that I bought that I don't get fuel points for alcohol. So
Hmm.
um, looked at the cash register receipt while I was walking out, and it is now the 11th of July,
Hmm.
and I've already got 1,200 fuel points, and two of the three cars are full of gas already. So I'm going to have to take my van down and get it filled up, and the 5 gallon um, gas can for the lawnmower and fill it up on the same discount because I'm not going to use up the whole discount
Hmm.
on the van. The gas tank isn't big enough to hold that much. It'd have to be one of those um, great big trucks with the dual fuel tanks to be able to hit the limit on that. But once you punch that number in, when the pump shuts off, that's the end of that particular discount. You got to move to the rest of your points the
Hmm.
next time. So yeah, fill up the van, fill up the can for the lawnmowers, and it'll be on the same discount. Um, Lindsay's
But
old Buick, I just drive it from one end of the road to the other, basically. Uh, go down to the Dollar General store and the gas station at one end of the road, go to the gas station on the other end of the road about every other day, not even 5 miles a day. Lindsay goes back and forth to church, and the church is only 2 miles away. She usually doesn't drive anywhere else in the Toyota.
hmm.
Sometimes we will go shopping. We will go to the next county in the Toyota because air conditioning is fun.
Especially this time of year.
Yep.
So,
And
how is your grass? Is it worth mowing?
um, in the north side of the yard, it needs to be done fairly well because that's not any of my golf course grass. It's just crabgrass and it jumps up.
Hmm.
Uh, in the back, the violets kind of recovered from the last rainstorm we had, but not fully. Although the hydrangeas out front just sprang back to life from looking like they'd just been transplanted from Death Valley.
Wish we could
Uh,
send you some of our rain.
I wish you could too. Hey, Foxy, thank you. Thank you
Hey,
very much for
Foxy.
the like. Um,
Yeah, Danville's under a flood watch, but then again, that's Danville when it rains.
we are under a no watering gardens, no washing cars, no watering your yard watch. It's like the drought we were in 20 years ago.
You wash
And,
your cars?
huh?
You wash your cars?
I go to a car wash. I don't wash my car at home. I got YouTube videos to watch. I can't be out there. I can't be out there with a
Uh,
bucket and a sponge trying to wash down a van, a full size van. No. Um, I will take my ladder, my short ladder, put it in the back of the van. I will go to the car wash. I will wash off the roof of the van. Um,
only
the
time our van gets washed is when it goes in for maintenance, and they decide, "I will just wash this glass here." Okay, you just do that as long as you don't charge me.
Yeah, really. This is supposed to be silver, not brown. Uh,
Yeah, I never did like white.
mm,
Now
um,
it's gray, which is okay.
well, we got oak trees overhanging
Mm.
where we park the cars, so my van's partially in the shade, and the Buick is fully in the shade, but they get dripped on by tree sap. And Lindsay's car is out in the bright sunlight. The Toyota's just sitting there. She's got the sunshade and the windshield. And believe it or not, those things do work even when
Oh
it's
yeah,
only in one window. Um,
it makes a difference.
it does. It does. And since it's almost brand new, she's trying to take as good care of it as she can.
Of course,
Uh, but yeah,
you take
I mean,
care of them, they last longer. Even
we're
today's cars.
we're out in the middle of nowhere, so anytime the guy across the street bush hogs his pasture for the cows and the horses and the sheep, and they've got ducks and swans and all kinds of. They've even got a nice little pond that they had built back there. Um, all that dust comes over, settles on everything. Every time I mow the yard, there's an oak tree that nothing will grow under
Hmm.
except for a little bit of crabgrass that I still have to trim. And I'm not getting out there with a weed eater and a 300-yard drop cord. One of these days, I'll buy a weed eater that takes a battery, but today is not that day.
Get two when you do that.
Oh, yeah, definitely. What I'd like to do is get a certain brand where the same batteries fit
Hmm.
multiple equipment. So get a leaf blower for the driveway, a weed eater. Let's see, what else we need? A hedge trimmer so that I can go down our side of my hedgerow and not be doing slalom in and out, dodging in between the hedge bushes. I mean,
Hmm.
they're beautiful hedge bushes, but um, snowball bushes get thin and spiky branches that hang over both sides. Leave them on the side facing the road. Lop them off on the side facing the yard, not get in closer to all of that.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah, it's just dust and whatever. Everything gets covered. Um, it's life in the country. I mean, seriously.
Hmm.
Um, we had somebody drive by with a big truck and a trailer, and they lost one of those round hay bales into the ditch and never came and got it. It just sat there. So I went out there with a wheelbarrow about 6 months later, and we had the best no-till garden we have ever had. Had some railroad ties out there. I filled it with all this hay from the hay bale, and the middle of it was still all bright green. The outsides of it were beginning to um, decompose into just some really good dirt.
Mm-hmm.
That was a great year for a garden there. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough railroad ties left over from the other projects that I'd had around the house, and it wasn't quite big enough. And then, right about the time we got the last of the vegetables out of it, birds started dropping seeds from mimosa trees in it.
Ooh,
Those things, if you let them ever get a chance,
I hate mimosa trees.
I kind of like the way they look. I just wish they weren't about the third most obnoxious, opportunistic plant, but after kudzu. Um,
Mm-hmm.
you got kudzu, wisteria, trumpet vine, and mimosas, as far as I'm concerned. And if you don't root them out as soon as you see them coming up, you're going to have to be out there with a chainsaw digging into the ground to get rid of those roots because they
And
grow
you can use
fast.
pipes.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. And when those flowers drop on blacktop, that's slicker than ice.
Hmm.
Even when you're driving. Yeah, we had one by the side of the house, and yeah,
Well,
got rid
one
of
of my
that.
great aunts had one in her front yard, and it had been growing for probably 50 years before I was born.
Mm,
And it was well established. But also, this is East Tennessee, where the soil is nothing but a thin layer of dirt over solid limestone. So it didn't really get out of hand. And my cousin kept it mowed. The whole yard kept it mowed real well. So the little seedlings didn't have a chance. Um, but I got to know how absolutely horrible they are as a decorative plant you didn't intend to have. They're right on up there with sweet gum and water oak, just sprouting up wild everywhere that they get a chance to. Every
mm-hmm.
year, Lindsay and I have to go out to the hedgerow with um, the little handheld chainsaw, about the size of a drill, and cut oak sprouts out of the hedgerow. Otherwise, the electric company will come and do it for us, and they won't care about my arbor vitae
Yeah.
or my snowball bushes. They'll just drive by with this big old bush hog on a swing arm on the side of the truck and just all the way down to the ground. And anything that's within that 6 foot area is going to get shredded.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we'll go out there and cut everything down over and over and over again. Um, Lindsay's still pulling sweet gum sprouts from the trees that I wish I had the money to have cut down. But around here, Um, People that get rid of unwanted trees for you charge about $1,000 per tree.
Mm, yeah.
And I
Uh,
do not have that kind of money.
we had to get rid of this one tree because it was threatening the power lines. And the guy says, I'll do you a deal and get rid of that other tree in front of the garage. And okay, fine. $1,500.
1,000 for one tree, 500 for the other. Yep.
Mm-hmm. Of
And
course.
we got a huge pine tree that needs to be taken down in the backyard because the beetles have got to it and eventually it's going to fall.
Mm-hmm.
And it's big enough to where it if it falls towards the house, uh, I'm going to have to be rebuilding the bedroom and the roof above the bedroom. I would love to be able to hire somebody to come out here and cut this thing down. But I don't have the money. I just don't. I never have. Probably never will unless Steven Spielberg decides to make a movie out of one of my books, in which
Oh,
case that tree is a pile of firewood waiting to happen.
and we used to have a tree guy who, well, he was a friend of my brother. I got really good prices out of him, but stopped answering his phone after the plague in 2020. So we had to do this other guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
not asking him back if we need him again.
You know, it would almost be less expensive for me to hire to rent a bucket lift and
Mm-hmm.
get my little electric chainsaw and start at the top and start
Just the
cutting
button.
limbs off and cutting 6 foot sections out where it would fall away from the fence and away from the house
Mm-hmm.
till it gets down to the very bottom. And if I have to buy a gasoline chainsaw with a long enough blade on it to get that down flat, I can do that.
Yeah. Um, we've got a row of bushes along the west side of the house that were really nice when we moved in.
Yeah.
And then Carl stopped. Well, our housemate at the time was supposed to be taking care of the hedges, and he pawned the hedge clipper. He said he let his boss borrow it, but we're pretty sure he pawned it.
Mm.
And then he got run out of town, and Carl didn't do the hedges, and they are so tall now that I cannot see the street out of my window on the west side of my office,
And you're on the second floor.
and I'm on the second floor. Yeah, I told him, I said, we need to rent a cherry picker or something and lop the top off of those.
Yeah. The only benefit would be that because of the factory, I've been trained to use those cherry pickers and bucket lifts. I know exactly what I'm doing. Um, the hard part would be how much you charging for the safety harness. I know that's required now. Wasn't required in the 70s, but it is now. And I'm not complaining actually, because who wants to fall 150 feet out of a bucket
Mm-hmm.
lift? Um, it's not so much the fall, it's the sudden stop at the end, as the old saying goes. Yeah, I would. It would probably only take me about 2, maybe 3 hours to take this 2.5 foot diameter oak tree out entirely or at least cut it down low enough to where I could drop it from standing on the ground and not have
Mhm.
it tear up anything else.
Mhm.
And that way it wouldn't fall in my neighbor's yard, wouldn't fall on the house. Just kind of get it going towards the back end of the lot, way into the woods. It would be great to take all the branches and everything from that, and anything I can move. Maybe my brother has got the tractor fixed from the last time that he tore it up, and I could get the scrape blade and push it on back in there, and just make a berm where
Mhm.
the hill would kind of flatten out a little bit like a terrace, like in the Andes. Um, it would be nice to have that part of the property.
Night, Foxy.
Good night, Foxy. It'd be nice to have that part of the property where it's not walk out of the backyard and suddenly just start descending a steep slope. Uh, a series
Sorry.
of terraces would be nice.
That's yes. I'm sorry. You bent forward and your green screen took a huge chunk out of your head.
Uh, you'd be surprised at how many people have been tempted by that very thing. Um,
Yeah, but yeah, you right here.
yeah,
You didn't have any head. You had all trees.
well, that's all there is back there is trees. It's and
Uh,
most of it is woods nobody but Cherokee Indians have walked through for the past 300 years. There is one little bit that appears to be an old logging road.
mhm.
And the only way you can tell is it's got a terrace on the bottom side so that it didn't wash on down the hill. But it's all just overgrown with all kinds of stuff now. I used to be able to mow it, but too many blizzards, too many broken branches. Without having a tractor and a scrape blade, I can't keep up with it. I can't keep it
Mhm.
all clear. Most of it is too much for me to even try and saw up into small pieces and move aside by hand or by wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well,
I
no, that's another problem we have when we do cut stuff down. No place to take it, and can't find people to who will come and get it.
yeah. Well, I mean, seriously, the only trees I want to have cut down, mm, 99% of them are sweet gums, and they're not good for anything
Yeah.
unless you are sawing them out and planing them off and making parquet floor tiles from the different colors inside the tree. That's about all they're good for is to make puzzle pieces out of to make a pretty floor. It doesn't burn well, although it will burn once it cures. Uh, if you don't kill the stump, it will sprout up new trees continually forever. Uh, Sweet gum is the kudzu of trees.
Well, we've been pretty lucky. We've only had to cut down the three. The one threatening the power, and one in front of the garage, which was half dead anyway. One in the front yard that was half dead. Uh, or rather, I should say, the west side yard. The one in the front yard, Yeah, I didn't have to cut it down. Was sitting in the house and heard boom, like, oh crap.
Hope that wasn't on a car. Yeah, we got one right
Mhm.
now. It's on my neighbor's property, and he wants the pine trees to remain untouched so he can pay somebody to come in and cut them for lumber
Mhm.
later on. Well, trouble is they're growing too close together. They're not getting enough light, and b- because of the weather, some of them are just dying.
Mhm.
Had one pretty much it was a widowmaker. It was dead. It was still standing. It's on his property. I shouldn't
Mhm.
be trying to take care of the problems for him. Well,
Mhm.
now it has broken off at the ground. The top of it is lodged in another pine tree on his property, and it's hanging right over one of the few naturally occurring dogwood trees visible from our yard. And if I don't do something, even though it's not my responsibility to do anything, but
Mhm.
I would kind of like to keep the dogwood tree.
Mhm.
Eventually, it's going to rot enough to where it's going to smash that dogwood tree to the ground, and that'll be the end of that. And this dogwood is about 6 to 8 inches diameter at the base, but it's only about 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
So it's been suffering from lack of sunlight.
Yeah. Our which is north of
Technically, it's
us.
his dogwood, not mine, but
And our neighbor to the north has a row of pine trees, silly looking pine trees. They're not full. They're scraggly, and they're supposed to be scraggly.
mm,
But there's one. I told Carlos that that one's gonna come down because if Carrie doesn't take it down soon, because it's dead. And he goes, well, it's got something growing way up there at the top, about 100 foot off the ground. And I said, that doesn't make any difference. All the way up to that is dead, and it's gonna come down on the garage, on the power lines, on the phone lines, and
yeah,
then Carrie's going to be in a lot of trouble because he's going to have to fix all that. Now,
that's
the one that fell on our neighbor's car, technically it wasn't our tree because it was on the outside of the sidewalk. Technically, it was a city tree,
mm-hmm.
but found out they had the same insurance company we did. So I'm like, oh, you're fine because I know how. Every claim I ever had with them just went smooth as silk.
Act of God. It'll be all right. Uh,
We're just lucky it didn't. It fell that way though instead to the house.
yeah, it all depends on the wind.
Mhm. Yeah, because first and second floor in the front of the house, we've got these huge windows. Would have hated to have to try to replace those, even with insurance.
Mm-hmm. Well, with that pine tree in the backyard, technically, as my father's son, I have had the requisite training to be able to drop that sucker into the woods and never endanger the house whatsoever.
What if you went over to your neighbor and said, "I see you have a problem. I can fix that for you and not charge you.
I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my tallest ladder out and my longest rope, and I'm going to climb up the tree that it is lodged in and tie the rope around one end of the rope around that. And I'm going to go off into my neighbor's property with my ladder and the other end of my rope and find another tall tree
And tie it to that
and
one.
and tie it to that one and get my block and tackle out. Actually, use another tall tree as a pulley and get my
Mm-hmm.
block and tackle out and pull it, and then take my chainsaw and cut it off a little bit at a time to where it can't fall on the dogwood tree until it is small enough and light enough for me to readjust the block and tackle and pull the rest of the trunk of the dead tree completely onto his property. Undo every bit of evidence that I ever existed in the neighborhood and walk away. But no, I was before I was talking about the big tree in the backyard that's endangering my house and my other neighbor's yard.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, I should be able to drop that in the woods without any problem whatsoever, except the fact that I am scared shitless of doing it. Because so much could go wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Once again, I would have to have my block and tackle and my longest, strongest rope, pulling it the way I want it to go, cut the notch out the way I want it to fall, tighten up on the rope until the tree is actually leaning in that direction, and go from the house side and finish the cut.
Right.
Uh,
I'm listening. I'm just being nosy.
it's all right. I mean, Daddy taught me how to do this stuff. I mean, you grow up on a farm, you know that. You grew up on a farm.
Mm-hmm.
You learn skills you never thought you'd ever use later on. And all of a sudden, you go, wait a minute, I know how to do that. I don't have to pay anybody. I can do that. Don't want to do it, but I can.
Ever touch a spark plug on a running tractor?
No, but I have tried to use a multimeter to check and see if a spark plug on the lawnmower was actually working. Had to buy a new multimeter on that one. It blew the sucker up.
I took ag mechanics in college. There were four of us girls in a class of 80. All four of us um, ended up in the top 10 of the class, too. But he teacher had a tractor running and was explaining how the motor works and all this stuff. And he's like, "Who wants to touch the spark plug?" Now, being a kind of clumsy person, I have had done that on the farm before, but accidentally. But
Yeah.
I knew no big thing, less than an electric fence. So here's all these guys, all these boys, and you know how 19-year-old boys are. Looking at each other, kind of trying to dare, and I'm like, "Beep. Yeah, it's running."
Yep. It's on.
Oh, yeah. Oh, the first day of class, I got there early because it was in a new building, didn't know what it was going to be. Found the class, went in, and those were the days of miniskirts, remember?
I remember them well.
I had on a miniskirt that day. And damn, back then I had the legs and the body to wear that. And I'm sitting there waiting for everybody else to come, and this one boy comes in and looks at me and he backs up and he looks at the room number again and he looks at me and he looks at the room number again like, hey, I guess I'm in the right place. And yes, you are, baby. Come on in. And I didn't learn anything because everything he taught I already knew from being a farm girl.
Yeah, it works that way sometimes. It really does.
Yeah. Well, I needed
Um,
an easy class that semester, so that's easy class was ag mechanics.
oh, electric fence.
Ooh,
I had several cousins that were natural born practical jokers, and it'd be my dad, his uncle, cousin, another cousin going out hunting, and one of them. We came up to this electric fence. We could tell it was an electric fence because of the insulators.
mm-hmm.
And he reached out, grabbed a hold of it, and was, "No, this thing ain't on. Touch it and see." He didn't think I noticed he was wearing gloves.
Yeah, my brother tried the same thing on me.
hmm
Gotta love siblings.
I told him, "Go ahead and piss on it and see if it still doesn't show." And Daddy looked at me like, "I'm proud of you, but I'm gonna have to spank you for doing that."
Yeah, I don't remember what he was doing, but yeah, he had gloves on, and I was out in the pasture because he played in the pasture. And he grabbed that wire with one hand and he didn't have a glove on the hand that he reached out. He just touched me, and I'm looking at him like, I think that's probably the first time I, if not said, then Mom only raised one fool and it wasn't me. I, I am not touching you,
hmm
especially when you got that shitting eating grin on your face. I know
Uh-huh.
that grin. I knew that grin by then.
Uh-huh. I had people at work that swore that I had eyes in the back of my head because I'd be doing something, a little tug motor where you drive stuff to the warehouse and drop it off so that they could put it on a truck with a clamp lift or whatever, and go back and pick up another dolly full of bags of insulation and all. I pulled back in there and hooked up to a dolly that was like 3 bags from being full. And I'm looking at the folks that are doing the work there, and I'm standing there on the tug motor, and I noticed one of them grinning like an idiot. I stepped off the tug motor and turned around. There was somebody reaching to goose me in the back as I was standing there on, and they swore up and down I had to be psychic and see him coming. And I'm going, no, situational awareness. I
Mm-hmm.
watched all of your facial expressions. I knew somebody was about to do something that I didn't want anybody to do. So escape and evade. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Uh, I don't know how many
But you,
times I've startled Lindsay. Would be walking in a shopping center trying to decide which store we want to go in next or trying to find the store we're looking for. And I'm going, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. we need to step away from the curb a little bit further, and there'll be some idiot barreling through the parking lot behind us. She goes, "How do you know?" I'm going, "I'm watching the reflection in the windows."
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
But
one thing
see,
I can,
with your guys at work, you should have just gone with the psychic thing.
I didn't tell them. I never told them. I just go, "Hey, I'm not as stupid as I look. Who could be?" Uh, got on the tug motor and drove it off. I mean, but no, every place we go, not only am I aware of everybody that's around us visibly, but I'm looking in every convenient reflection for anybody behind us. Um, I guess the lesson to be learned from there is I am not insufficiently paranoid, just sufficiently. Um,
Well, you know what they say. Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean they're not out to get you.
hey, I've been the butt of too many practical jokes in my life not to try and be aware of any motion in my vicinity, no matter where it's from. Um, Lindsay was out on the front porch feeding the cats today. Somebody came roaring down the road in this horrendous S curve where we have car wrecks about three, maybe four times a year. And she's going, I don't know how they managed to hold it in the curve, but they did. They're going way too fast. It's a 45-mile-an-hour road, but this S curve has got a recommended 35 sign
Mm-hmm.
and two school bus signs, um, one of which has just been replaced because the last wreck that happened in their yard took the sign out completely, just snapped it off at the ground, and it's on a steel post, not a wooden post.
Mm-hmm.
And I drug it up there and propped it up where they could see it from the road. And sure enough, within 2 weeks, the county sent out a truck, had to dig another hole and put a brand new post in. I don't know if they recycled the sign or if it's a brand new sign, but I wasn't going to use it. That's Technically, that's against the law. Although I did have one barbecue pit that had a an old road sign as the metal base to set the charcoal on. Don't it was there when my trailer was put in that particular lot. I did not go steal a sign. I just recycled it. That and about 10 concrete blocks and an old oven rack. I had a perfectly serviceable barbecue grill for a long time. And by the time I left the trailer park, you couldn't tell that was a road sign. It had it had that much charcoal on it because that was a place where I had running water, but I couldn't afford to hire an electrician to come out to set up a power pole and hook up a breaker for the trailer so that I could get the electricity turned on. So for several months while I was saving money, uh, and I did take my entire vacation from the factory during summer months. So I had almost 6 weeks of vacation checks coming in, but no electricity.
Mm.
So I had running water. I could flush the toilet. I could wash my hands. Uh, but anytime I had to heat anything, barbecue grill it was. I could cook just about anything out there. Pot of soup, um, frying pan full of sausage and eggs, just whatever I needed. Um, didn't have to be charcoal. There were enough fallen branches around through there where I could use just found
Mhm.
wood.
Mhm.
Um, once again,
We had a friend gave a barbecue party one time, and we went, and he had a brand new toilet. He bought it to put in his rental home, and then didn't do it. So he used the toilet for a barbecue. He put charcoal in the bowl and the grill on top, and we saw that and moved very quickly from the yard up to the porch because we knew what was coming. And sure enough, I don't remember if he'd taken the burgers off the grill or not, but pretty soon you hear this crack, and the whole
hmm
thing just went bloop.
into 1,000 pieces from the. Uh huh. You'd be amazed at how many people are stupid enough to think that's a good idea. Um,
Um, no,
I've
I
got
used to tell. I
I've
know
got
how
to run down
stupid
the
people are.
hall. I'll be right
Uh
back. I'm
oh.
just going to turn off the microphone so you can't hear me. I will still be able to listen to you.
Oh my dear. What am I gonna do? He left me all by myself. Thesis, are you still in the chat? Yeah, I know, Thesis. I worked too many years in retail. Technically, I was a secretary bookkeeper, but I still had to deal with the public from time to time. I think the thing that I laughed at the most was we were a small force, and I'd send out the house accounts, and if it hadn't been paid by the 25th of the month, I was told to put a whole 25 cents on for a charge. 25 cents. Now, what most people in this town did not realize was that even if you drop the mail in the in-town mailbox, it gets gathered up, sent 30 miles away to Champaign, and then comes back to Danville. So you've got a 2-day lag there, and then it goes around town. So I get all these irate people calling up about, I paid that bill. Uh, yeah, you did, but it was after I'd already sent this out, and don't worry about it because I'm going to take it off because, you know, you paid it. But government stuff sometimes, you would think putting it in the in-town box that it would stay in town. Not here. Yeah, ooh, people. And it was really fun around the holiday times.
I'm back, but one of the cats is demanding a treat, so
Well, you
uh,
gotta give your kitty. You don't want a kitty
Well,
cat to get hostile.
the real trick is to keep him from jumping up and knocking my keyboard off of my desk while I put the bowl down. Uh,
He gets a bowl full of treats.
well, they're small.
Oh, uh-huh.
It's only about two spoonfuls. You know.
Our kitty cats get 3 treats each when we hand out treats.
Well, there was one box of the same brand of treats that we got. They were um, uh, about half the size of a Ritz cracker,
Mm,
but these are just like little, uh,
little about that big.
yeah, little bitty things like regular cat food bites would be.
Yeah, that's what we have, and they get 3 of them when they get a treat.
Mm. Um, if I gave him three of them, I wouldn't get Snuggles at night. I'd get Claude. No,
Oh,
but
speaking of
he's
Snuggles, ever since he's come back inside, Strips has been ultra loving.
hey, got
You
a taste of the great outdoors and didn't like it that
don't
much.
want that anymore. That's not as much fun as I remember. Especially, yeah. At least
Mm,
he got inside before the thunderstorm.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
he is just
That's what. Yeah.
he is just going to town on that. He's walking around the bowl and hitting it from different angles. And Lindsay made fun of me. We were at the grocery store, and I'm going, well, I've got these treats down here. I don't want to put them on the carpet and uh, have them leave crumbs. You got to vacuum up. And I just,
Mm-hmm.
what's the cheapest little bitty cat food bowl I can find that won't bend his whiskers too much and give him that whisker fatigue that makes him complain that the bowl's empty when the bowl is not. And I found one for like $2. And a little plastic thing. I have to pick it up and put it away from the floor so the dog doesn't think it's a toy and chew it completely up. Because she will do that.
Yeah.
She'll think it's this rawhide tastes terrible, but I'm going to gnaw it into little bits anyway. Um, she actually went through one of those heavy duty plastic salsa bowls as if it were a rawhide. And oh, Lindsay was pissed. And I'm going, honey, I can buy 5 more now for like $1.25 or something at Dollar General.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't worry. Uh, just 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 because the dog thought it was rawhide doesn't mean it's the end of the world.
Oh,
Oh, and that bowl is now totally clean.
that didn't take long.
Nope,
That's
not at
like
all. Now
Michaela's dog.
he's looking for the cat box, so I've got to open the door back up and let him out.
uh,
Come on, come on, out.
she
Go
bought
on, Billy. Go on, Billy. Mama's in bed. She's expecting you.
I can't remember the dog's name.
Oh, her great big huge dog.
Yeah, she bought him her um, supposedly indestructible dog toy.
Like that
Had it
exists.
chewed up in like 2 days.
Uh, Dog that size, you could give it a manhole cover and have to be replacing the thing an hour later. Uh,
Yep.
oh, we had the German Shepherd. Uh, Lindsay came back here and told me, oh, the dog. She wanted my attention really bad. I thought she needed to go outside, but she didn't. She refused to go outside. She kept going over towards the coffee pot in the corner of the kitchen. And then Lindsay looked. There was a bag of rawhide bones that I had bought for the dog, and I set up next to the coffee pot. The dog could smell them through the plastic package.
Knew where those were, Mom.
Uh
Mom,
huh.
you have one,
That
Mom?
really. If you really want to be nice, you can smear it with peanut butter like you do when you're trying to get me to take one of my worm pills. Uh, oh,
We
I
now have
told it.
3 cats that eat peanut butter.
Oh yeah.
All 3 boys just love it. The girls are like, nah, I've seen what you do with those fingers, Dad. No, thanks.
Oh, sorry for my imagination, folks. Um, oh, I actually have to buy a special brand of organic peanut butter just for the dog to make sure it's not made with chemicals that are not good for the dog.
Calvin's my fruit cat.
Mm,
Yeah. Um, he likes the filling out of Pop Tarts.
yeah.
Yeah, he really likes the blueberry and the cherry.
Hmm. Now, when we were back on the farm, we would be we'd be shucking corn and cutting the ends off the corn cobs so Mom could slice the kernels off and can the corn.
Hmm.
So it'd be in big old mason jars or whatever. Um, but the dogs and the cats would actually fight over the corn cobs and the ends of the corn cobs that still had sweet, juicy corn
Hmm.
kernels on them, raw as can be. But they thought, oh, this is the best thing. No, this makes catnip look like garlic powder. Uh, just
Yeah, I've seen videos of cats eating corn off the cob.
there is nothing funnier than an 8-inch high cat might weigh 7 pounds, facing down, foot and a half tall to 2 foot tall bird dog, 180 pounds, and they're just arguing with each other about who's gonna get that corn cob. Um, and the cat's going, "Oh, come near me, slink! Uh, I'll cut you." And the dog's going, um, "You're too big for one bite and not big enough for two. Uh, you can have it. I'll get the next one." And cat's going, "Yeah, you think?" That was the same time that I found out that hornets are some of the most adroit fly killers ever. Because the flies would come down and be about to get onto a corn cob that's laying there that the dogs and cats are through with. And here comes this hornet, like an F-16 Eagle, swoops down, grabs the fly with all of its legs, does a barrel roll, and takes off with the fly still trapped in its legs.
Yep, I
I
thought.
mean, it's like if you had filmed that, George Lucas would love to use it for a storyboard for a Star Wars movie,
Mm-hmm.
just a fighter thing.
Maybe that's where he got his idea.
I doubt it seriously. I think most of his ideas were from old war movies. Now, if people that were making the old war movies had grown up in the country like we did and get to
Mm-hmm.
see these natural phenomenon like this, that would make sense. Um, but it was like, well, maybe they're not just angry stinging machines after all. If they'll eat flies, I'm not going to bother them intentionally. Might bother them accidentally because hornets are really easy to bother accidentally. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you get within 6 feet, they're annoyed. But it was like a ballet. It really was. They just kind of swoop in, grab the fly, spin, and take off. And bye bye fly. That's one fewer. Of course, the dirt daubers are going to be really upset that you're depriving them of their um, larder for the eggs that they're going to lay later on. But I'll let the stinging insects argue about that amongst themselves. I don't want anything to do with it.
Yep. Just walk away clean. Don't need any of that.
Yep. Now I'm kind of wishing that we didn't have yellow jackets nesting in the arbor vitae. Uh, let's just say yellow jackets are not as even tempered as hornets.
Yeah.
Lindsay will go out there and be pulling weeds and cutting down little sprouts and get stung, and she is allergic. And I'm just going, honey, I was at work. There's no way I can dial 911 if you go into anaphylactic shock.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we're going to have to get you an EpiPen or something if you're going to persist in going out there and disturbing
And
the
you
venomous
know, even though
insects.
even though you use an EpiPen, they tell you to get to the ER right away.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I think her allergy has diminished as she's gotten older. I mean, in her youth, she was
It happens.
extremely allergic, and now she just kind of swells up a lot, but she doesn't have any difficulty in breathing or anything. It's just pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I showed her Granny's trick for my bee stings. You make a paste out of baking soda and vinegar and daub it on the bee sting, and
Mm-hmm.
somehow or another, the reaction between the base of the baking soda and the acid in the vinegar helps draw out the formic acid of the bee stings. Uh, Matter of fact, it's the same. It's the same with fire ant bites. It's just formic acid. It's just the fire ants are going. Yes, I'm calling for reinforcements.
Yeah.
Um, God, I wish it was legal to own anteaters in the United States.
Are you sure it's not?
It's not. I've checked.
Oh,
I would import a couple of South American anteaters to do away with the fire ants around here. Uh, I'm amazed they didn't migrate along with the fire ants. Actually, oh, and those Joros spiders. Thank God they decided Georgia's too hot. They moved further north. I'm sorry, people. It wasn't deliberate. I didn't send them. They came over like fire ants. They came over in fruit crates from South America, probably mostly banana crates,
mm-hmm.
but they were horrible for about 2 years. I had to mow the yard with a stick in one hand and the other hand trying to maneuver both handles on a zero turn mower, which does not work whatsoever. Let me tell you, you need both hands to steer a zero turn. That's the way it was designed. It's,
Yeah.
it's like trying to drive through steel cables. But after a couple of years, either some
I
of the
thought I
local
heard you.
birds decided they were good eating, or as I heard, it was that they think the South is too hot for them and they move north. I'm glad to see the last of them. I'm hoping we get our riding spiders back. Those are beautiful. I love those. They're very
Yeah.
pretty and they make these huge webs and they collect mosquitoes and flies and um, all kinds of things.
Hey, Witzman, dude, you're in the wrong room, but hi.
Oh, okay. Too hot to sleep. I see.
I could
Uh,
either turn the AC if you want. I think I got it on 79.
I just had to turn mine off. I only turned it on at 8 o'clock, and here it is about a quarter to one, and I've already had to turn mine off because I'm sitting here in a t-shirt, blue jeans, and no shoes, and my feet was getting cold.
Well, the old stucco house, it's only 68 outside, but it's evidently still in the high 70s if the AC hasn't come on again.
Yeah, the problem with this house is the, for want of a better term, attic gets heated up all day long. And then at night, when the heat's trying to seep out of the brick walls,
Mm-hmm.
the attic is radiating the heat down from the ceiling. You can actually stand up and feel the temperature difference between sitting down and standing up. Um, and it's just, we have an attic fan. We can use it. There's nothing wrong with it. It does have a really old electric motor on it, so it uses uh, 1950s amount of electricity, 1960s amount of electricity, rather than 2024 amounts of uh, electricity. But uh, oh, I I don't have to go to the beer fridge in the living room I really should see whether or not Lindsay went to sleep in her chair watching TV or if she's actually gone to bed. Um, yes, Carl, you could say that. I'm sure you could probably even get away with it if Donna's in a good mood. Um, oh, I saw that eyebrow lift.
So what?
Oh, I saw
Oh,
the evil eyebrow wiggle. Um, I will be fine. I think I was cuddling warm kitties. Is there any other kind? Um, I have never had a cat that was not basically an organic furnace.
yeah, then you get 3 or 4 or 5 of them.
Hey, comes in
You've heard of
handy
it?
on a 3 dog night.
I was gonna say.
And yes, I do have 7 or 8 of their albums, even though they got more than that. Uh,
Oh yeah, sorry.
oh,
It's getting
that
late.
reminds me. We lost one of the Oak Ridge boys this week.
Which one?
Um, the short gray-haired one with the mustache. That rules out all of them,
Oh,
doesn't
the
it?
tenor. The tenor.
Yeah. Not the bass, but the tenor. Yeah. I could look it up real quick.
Oh, I got. I'm on it. I'm on it.
Okay. Okay. Um,
John Bonsall,
yes.
76.
Yeah, it's a fairly good run.
Yep.
Could have wished him another 20 years, but it's a hard life touring around as a musician.
Died from ALS complications.
Lou Gehrig's disease?
Uh-huh. That's what this says.
Ooh,
Of course, that's Fox News, so take it with a grain of salt.
yeah, but it's been everywhere. Although I wasn't aware of the diagnosis, so
Okay, yeah. Yes, his family made a statement saying that he did die from Lou Gehrig's disease.
yeah, Carl, that is a problem with getting older. Remember, getting older is mandatory. Growing up is optional.
I was trying to be nice, thesis. I know I don't do that very often, but I was trying to be nice.
Um, there are two news agencies in the world whose opinions and news reporting I will still trust and verify, but trust a hell of a lot further than I trust any American news source now that Dan Rather and Walter Cronkite and um Huntley and Brinkley are no longer with us. One of them is the BBC, and the other one is Al Jazeera. Seriously. Uh, Everybody else seems to have agendas to push nowadays instead of just going, hey, this happened.
Yeah.
Make, Think what you will. Form your own opinion. Uh,
Oh, you can't be totally serious, Witzman dude. That's why you have the Uncle Carl Secret Humor Group.
yeah, your secret has been out for a long time, Carl.
uh, our class will be celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, and I'm on the reunion committee. And we met last week to talk about it. And a couple of the guys who had not been at the meetings before was there, and we got to talking, and I got to talking about. Well, I said I couldn't do the Friday night thing because I host a show,
And they
and
wanted to
we,
know what show.
uh huh, and so like,
Well,
uh, I told one of the people, I'm like, you can't come because you're too nice. However, as for you two,
you might be assholes enough to fit in. Uh,
here's my contact information on Facebook. If you're brave enough to ask to friend me, I'll invite you into the group.
come and get some if you're hard enough. Uh, oh, that sounded so inappropriate in this context.
Not the green room.
Hey, it wasn't actually a green room comment. It's just, it's a British thing. And when somebody from the U.S. says it does um, sound a whole lot ruder than the provocation to, you want some, come and get it. I'm ready for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, fisticuffs sort of way. Um, there's so many Britishisms floating around in my head that I use every day.
Yeah.
I wonder where I got that from. Uh,
I got mine from watching a lot of British shows.
yeah.
Are there
uh,
any more Toys R Us around? So Thesis can buy himself some Transformers for growing up?
Dude, I think one reopened in the next county, but it's not in the same location that it used to be. Um, I don't know where it is. Um, I probably wouldn't be able to pass the security check to get in, but
I've only went to Toys R Us once in my lifetime. Wasn't impressed. Ah, dee dee dee
well, the
dee.
one in the next county was really big. I think right after it folded, it became one of the larger um, Best Buys. I mean, larger as in this is almost as big as a grocery store, a big grocery store. And I don't know. Um,
I just got a gym place in it, just Planet Fitness or something fitness, whatever the hell they're calling it these days. Yeah, so that's the only time I ever was in one, Richmond, dude. Yep.
uh,
Isn't that
now,
where we got that whoopee cushion? Because that's what she wanted.
a whoopee cushion.
A whoopee cushion, yeah.
You couldn't just order one out of the back of a comic book like everybody else.
We didn't know she wanted one until we picked her up, and it was Christmas, so we went and we got her whoopee cushion, and then we drove around to look at the lights in the big town of Chambana over there. And as we were going along, all the time in the back seat of the van would be
Yeah, the innocence of the child. Uh,
Oh,
now
maybe it was the magic shop, which is gone again. It's also gone.
I do have to admit that I have bought Matchbox cars and Transformers and things at different stores and get to the checkout and they take one look at the lack of color in my beard and hair and the cashier's going, "Oh, I hope your grandchild just adores this." And I'm going, I don't dare tell them it's for me, do I? And I just go, "Yeah, they will." And they're hanging up on the wall over there still in the plastic.
Oh, I used to love going into GameStop, back when ever you get an update for World of Warcraft, you had to go brick and mortar and get the disc. Because every time there'd be a young man behind the counter, and I'd ring it up, oh, this a gift, and I'm like, no, this is the update for me. And invariably, the little voice would crack. Hey, you play World of Warcraft? Yes, I do.
Very well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I'm not going to tell you my username because you'll flirt with me like any other teenage boy. Isn't that a
He was
pain?
probably about 19, so. But yeah, it's not as bad as it used to be. I used to get hit on all the time by 14-year-old boys.
Oh, Lord, I used to spend a lot of time on our IRC chat,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd go in there, and it'd be unless it was a room where everybody knew me. If I just go to one of the, hey, this is a hangout, nobody really knows each other. It'd be ASL for the first 15
Mm-hmm.
things anybody said to me, and I'm going, uh, old enough to know better, none of your business, and none of your business. And inevitably, there'd be some 14-year-old girl in there that would discover that I'm an old man and decide I am her father confessor. And I'm going,
Uh,
honey, I don't care what you did. You need to be more picky. All right?
yeah. I used to answer them old enough, often enough, and wouldn't you like to know? We
Well,
got 2 minutes.
yes, I know. We're down to the final 2 minutes, and I do believe. Thank you for being here, and thank you everybody in the comments. Thesis, Carl, Foxy. Did I miss anybody?
My
Um,
Jimmy was here for a while.
Mike, Jimmy, yes. Um, I think Joe and Trelane and Bachman had already gone to bed. Um, I'm tempted to leave the show running after I run the credits just to have Joe Dog wake up in the middle of the night.
And couldn't find it running.
Hey, I would put the intermission, the 3 minute intermission, on infinite repeat and just let it go. Just to
Well, he needs something to do.
Well, he's not going to do this because I would then have to download the file, edit out my practical joke, and re-upload the file, and it wouldn't go back into the live the way that it's going in right
That's
now.
true. That's true.
And now
That's,
Joe Dog did schedule us to broadcast to Twitch, his Twitch, but it didn't work because it's not mine. I don't have a Twitch account, so it wouldn't go.
hmm.
So,
Well,
or maybe it's there's some other problem I don't know about.
who
I
knows
really don't
with
care.
Twitch. It's time to say goodnight, Gracie.
Yes. Thank you very much. We'll see you tomorrow night if everything works out. And
Don't hurt yourself tomorrow.
I'm going to go to my tool shed and see whether or not I have an awning, one of those pavilion things, and set up some shade over my sawhorses and whatnot out in the driveway to try and stay cool. If that doesn't work, we are going to take one of the great big beach umbrellas outside the chain link fence and set it up there and angle it so I get the most shade over my work area and get all that done. And if the cats will get out of the way, I'll actually be able to nail some of those boards that I cut a couple of days ago. I mean, some of them I cut long enough where I had to use a rubber mallet to put them in. They don't really need nails, but I'm going to put some in there anyway.
Okay.
And there's other stuff I've got to do.
We're in the bedtime story.
I will.
Okay.
And you have a good night. And everybody else have a good night. Thank you for being in the chat. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching at any time. Bye-bye.
Transmission overload. System will shut down. will shut down. System will shut down. System will shut down.